Imagine waking before sunrise in the year 900 AD, in a land that would one day be called England. There are no cities as we know them, no paved roads stretching for miles, no hospitals, no police.
No electricity.
This is the so-called Dark Ages. But for the people living through it, it was not dark. It was simply life. A life defined by survival. The year is 900 AD. The Roman Empire has long collapsed.
The great Roman cities lie in ruins. The once mighty roads are cracked and broken.
Britain is divided into rival Anglo-Saxon kingdoms, Wessex, Mercia, Northumbria, and East Anglia. And from across the sea, a new threat continues to loom: the Vikings. To survive in 900 AD England, you needed more than strength. You needed land, loyalty, faith, and luck.
Most people were peasants. Nearly 90% of the population lived in small, rural villages.
Your home would likely be a wooden hut with a thatched roof. The walls were made from wattle and daub, woven branches coated in mud and animal dung. The floor was dirt. There was no chimney. Smoke from the central fire drifted out through a hole in the roof, filling the house with a constant haze. You slept on straw mattresses. Fleas and lice were normal. Bathing was rare. If you survived to the age of 40, you were considered fortunate. Your survival depended on farming. The land was divided under a system called the manor. A lord controlled the land. In exchange for protection, peasants worked his fields. If you were a Seol, a free peasant, you might own a small strip of land, but most were tied to the lord's estate. From sunrise to sunset, you worked. In spring, you ploughed using heavy wooden ploughs pulled by oxen. In summer, you planted barley, wheat, and oats. In autumn, you harvested with sickles. Winter was the most dangerous season. Food shortages were common. If crops failed, famine followed. There were no supermarkets. Every bite of bread represented months of labor. Bread was coarse and dark, often mixed with beans or peas. Meat was rare unless you were wealthy. Pork and mutton were common, but most peasants ate vegetables, porridge, and ale. Water was often unsafe.
So even children drank weak beer. Hunting in the Lord's forest without permission could cost you your hand or your life.
But farming was only one threat. In 900 AD, Viking raids were still a terrifying reality. They came in longships, swift and silent along the rivers. Entire communities could vanish in a single day. By 900 AD, much of northern and eastern England was under Viking control in an area known as the Danelaw. But in the south, the kingdom of Wessex stood firm under a powerful ruler, Alfred the Great.
To me, men! Hold the line! Push them back!
He built fortified towns called burfs. He created a rotating army system so that farmers could defend the land without abandoning crops entirely.
To survive in Alfred's England, you might be called to fight at any time.
Every free man was part of the Fyrd, the local militia. You were expected to own a spear and shield.
There were no professional standing armies. If your village was attacked, you defended it yourself.
Religion shaped every part of life. Christianity had spread throughout Anglo-Saxon England centuries earlier. Monasteries were centers of learning and power. Priests recorded history by hand in illuminated manuscripts.
The Bible was law, comfort, and explanation for suffering. Illness, God's will. Church attendance was not optional. It was essential for community belonging and spiritual survival.
Yet beneath the Christian faith lingered older pagan traditions. Many still believed in charms, spirits, and omens.
Healing often mixed prayer with herbal remedies. Medical knowledge was limited.
If you broke a bone, survival depended on luck. If you developed an infection, there were no antibiotics.
Push now, push hard. It will soon be over. Hold fast. Breathe through the pain.
Life expectancy hovered around 30 to 40 years, though many children never reached adulthood.
Justice was harsh and immediate. There were no prisons in the modern sense.
Crimes were punished through fines called wergild, literally man price. Every person had a monetary value.
Toevernult forsoka, beefter, richtinga, gang of urige side, so med blode.
Trials might involve oath swearing, or even trial by ordeal. You might be forced to hold a red-hot iron.
If your wound healed cleanly after several days, God had judged you innocent.
To survive meant understanding your place in a rigid social hierarchy. At the top were kings and nobles.
I hereby pledge my loyalty and service, my king. My sword is yours.
At the bottom were slaves, often captured in war. Slavery was common. Slaves worked fields and households.
They had no rights. Survival for them depended entirely on their master's mercy.
Yet despite hardship, life was not constant misery. Communities were tight-knit.
Storytelling filled long winter nights. Anglo-Saxon poetry, like the epic tale of Beowulf, celebrated heroism, monsters, and fate.
Ik was fäger bäck, twickwicht on vånge, noeum herdra.
Trade was slowly reviving. Small towns like London, once abandoned after Rome's fall, were re-emerging as trading centres. Craftsmen made pottery, metal tools, and jewellery. Silver coins circulated, especially under Alfred's reforms.
England in 900 AD was not entirely isolated. Trade routes connected it to Francia and Scandinavia.
Yet danger remained constant. A bad harvest could kill more people than a battle. A simple cut could turn fatal.
A raid could destroy everything overnight. So what did it truly take to survive?
First, community. Alone, you would perish. Survival depended on kinship. Your family and village were your safety net.
Second, adaptability. Kingdom borders shifted. Vikings sometimes became settlers.
Cultural blending began. Old enemies became neighbors. Third, strength and endurance.
Every day required physical labor. There was no retirement. Even children worked from a young age.
And finally, faith. Whether in God, fate, or fortune, belief gave people the courage to endure.
By the end of the 9th century, Alfred's defensive system had stabilized southern England. His successors would continue the fight.
Within a century, England would move toward unification under kings like Aethelstan.
But in 900 AD, none of that future was certain. If you were born a peasant, chances are you would die a peasant.
Survival meant rising before dawn, tending fields, repairing fences, watching the horizon for sails, praying your children survived winter, standing in a shield wall if called, accepting that death was never far away.
Yet from this harsh world emerged the foundations of England. The language evolving in villages would become English. The laws shaped in these manors would influence common law. The resistance against Vikings would forge a stronger kingdom.
The so-called Dark Ages were not empty centuries of ignorance.
They were an age of rebuilding, stone by stone, field by field, generation by generation.
It required ordinary people doing extraordinary labor every single day.
And though history often remembers kings and battles, it was the unnamed farmer, the village mother,
who truly carried England through its darkest hours. When you imagine 900 AD, do not see only darkness.
See smoke rising from thatched roofs at dawn. Hear the clang of hammer on iron. Feel the cold wind off the North Sea. Watch a farmer lift his eyes to the horizon, uncertain of what tomorrow brings, yet determined to face it.
Because in the year 900 AD, survival was the greatest achievement of all.